The capacity to learn is a gift. The ability to learn is a skill. The willingness to learn is a choice. The future belongs to those who love to learn. Dear students, welcome to today's video class, and I am so glad to meet you all through this video. Today we are going to learn the first poem, The Castle. What thoughts come to your mind when you think of a castle? We think of huge buildings, thick walls, strong gates, soldiers, weapons, etc. A castle is a royal residence. Other synonymous terms are citadel and fort. Dear students, are you aware of the fact that there are many castles in India? Has anyone visited a castle? Can you mention a few? Okay, let me tell about famous castles in India. The Red Fort in Delhi, the Gwalior Castle, Golconda Fort in Hyderabad, and our Tamil Nadu Secretariat was once a castle named St. George Fort. It is always good to know and appreciate the one who has created the work of art. The poem The Castle was written by Edwin Muir. The Castle by Edwin Muir is a moving poem about the capture of a well-guarded and well-protected castle. It is an unspecified battle. The poem is in the form of a monologue, and the narrator is one of the soldiers in the castle.
Edwin Muir was a renowned Scottish poet, novelist, translator, and critic. He was noted for his individual philosophical style. His first poems and chorus of the newly dead contain his initial attempts. His later collections include Variations on a Time Theme, The Narrow Place, The Labyrinth, One Foot in Eden, etc. The various themes highlighted in his poetry include the struggle between good and evil, the loss of innocence and the quest for its recovery, the nature of human destiny, and the destructiveness of time. Now, let's analyze the poem stanza by stanza. As I read the lines will appear on the screen and you can take a note of it. Plus, the unfamiliar words that you come across also will be displayed and you can write it down in your notebooks. And one more thing, you know that from poetry, appreciation questions will be asked. So, focus on the possible appreciation questions that can be asked as we read the first stanza. Is it all right? Okay, now we'll go through the first line. All through that summer at ease we lay. So, in this line, the poet says that throughout the summer season, at ease we lay. So, we here stands for the soldiers. Already I have told you in the introductory section that in the citadel or in the fort, we find soldiers to protect the castle or the fort. So here the poet says that the soldiers were there inside the castle all through that summer season, and we here refers to the soldiers. And how were the soldiers? They were at ease. That means the soldiers were relaxed and stress free. So I repeat once again, all through that summer, that is throughout the summer season, the soldiers were relaxed and they were there without any fear or tension, and they were watching or guarding their castle. And the second line, and daily from the turret wall we watched the movers in the hay. So the second line and the third line clearly indicates what the soldiers were doing. And daily it is said. That means every day the soldiers were watching something. From where they were watching? It is from the turret wall. Now what is a turret wall? You find the picture of a turret wall here. Okay, so turret is a tower on the top of a castle. So from the turret wall, the soldiers were watching. Watching whom? The movers. The movers are, you find a picture of movers here. The people who trim and level the lawn are called movers. So from the turret wall, the soldiers are watching the movers in the cave, and the enemy half a mile away. So the main purpose of the soldiers in the turret wall is to find out whether any enemy is coming towards them, whether the enemies are ready to attack them. That is the main purpose. So they were in the turret wall. From there, they could notice the movers in the lawn. So from the turret wall, the main purpose is to watch or being watch out, to see if enemies are there, if enemies are coming towards them to attack them. In addition to that, they were also able to notice the movers there. So what did they notice from the turret wall? They watched the movers in the cave and the enemy half a mile away. So no enemy was found around them. So within a distance of half a mile, nobody was to be seen. So they were clear, they were confident that there was no enemy at all near the castle. So they were watching the castle, they were safeguarding or protecting the castle, and they were sure that the enemy was not nearby. So within a distance of half a mile, there was nobody found, no enemy was found. So they seemed no threat to us at all. So it is quite clear that they here stands for the enemies. The enemies were not at all a threat to the soldiers or the people in the castle, because nobody was nearby and all soldiers are alert and they are watchful. Okay, do you follow the substance of this first stanza? The poet says that the soldiers were there in the castle. And how were they? They were relaxed and stress-free without any tension. And what was their daily routine? What did they do every day? So daily, from where? From the turret wall. What is the turret wall? It is a tower on top of the castle. From the turret wall, they watched whether the enemies are approaching, whether the enemies are coming towards them, and at the same time, they were also able to watch the movers in the hay, and they were sure that the enemy was not nearby. So within a distance of half a mile, nobody was to be found. So the enemy was not at all a threat to them. They were very confident that they will not be attacked by anybody. So dear students, you know that from poetry, appreciation questions will be asked. So if I ask some appreciation questions, can you answer them? Yes, let me try. So we, whom does we refer to? Yes, we refers to the soldiers. And how long had the soldiers been watching? All through summer, the soldiers were watching. And what is a turret wall? This turret wall is a tower on top of a castle. We watched the movers. Whom does we refer to? We refers to the soldiers. What did the soldiers watch? The soldiers watched the movers. Who are the movers? Movers are people who trim the grass and level the lawn. And where were the enemies? The enemies were half a mile away. Were the soldiers frightened of the enemies? No, not at all. They were not at all frightened, or they were not afraid of the enemies. So this stanza clearly shows the confidence of the soldiers. We shall move on to the second stanza. For what we thought had we to fear? So we, as already mentioned, stands for the soldiers. So the soldiers feel that why should we be frightened of? Of what should we be afraid of? So for what we thought we had to fear. That is, the soldiers were fearless. They had no reason to be frightened of anything. With our arms and provender, load on load. Why they are not frightened? It is because they had arms. Arms means weapons. And provender. Provender is food. They had sufficient weapons and food. Load on load. Load on load means in large amount and in excess quantity, more than what is needed they had. That is, they had more than the sufficient amount of weapons and food required by them. So that gives them more confidence now. They need not worry about anything. With our arms and provender, load on load, our towering battlements tier on tier. And again, they were confident of the towering battlements. Here you see a picture of this towering battlements. So it means towers with openings to shoot from there. Okay, so you find the castle over which you find a tower. Even above the tower and one over the tower, we find towers one over the other, that is tier on tier, and the towers have openings in between. The soldiers will hide from there, and through that opening they will shoot the enemies if they happen to come nearby. So from the towering battlements, they were standing and watching, and they had enough weapons and food, and moreover and friendly allies drawing near. One more thing that is mentioned, they are friendly allies, that is the helpful nations or the supporting nations are coming towards them to help them with their forces. So the supporting nations and forces are ready to help them on every leafy summer road. So during the summer season, from different directions, the friendly allies are coming there to help them. So once again we find that the poet highlights the confidence of the soldiers. The first two stanzas more or less deal with the same theme, or the same idea is expressed there, that is the confidence of the soldiers. Now what is the reason for the confidence of the soldiers here? They say that they need not be frightened of anything because they have enough weapons, more than they need. They have these arms and provender, food items also they have, load on load, more than the required amount they have. Okay, and our towering battlements tier on tier and friendly allies drawing near. So our towering battlements already I mentioned, that is towers with openings to shoot from there. Okay, so they have this towering battlements one over the other. From there they can watch or guard their castle, and not only they are ready to protect the castle, even their friends are ready to come to their support. So now they are highly confident that nobody could defeat them or conquer them. So from every direction in the summer season, they are expecting support, and their friends are coming nearby. And the enemies, already it is mentioned that within a distance of half a mile, no enemy was to be found. So the enemies were not nearby. The friendly allies are coming to help them, and the soldiers are so confident that they can never be defeated or conquered. Okay, now we'll move on to the third stanza. So in this third stanza, the poet talks about the strength of the castle. The poet describes how strong the castle was. Our gates were strong. What does he say about the gates? The gates of the castle were very strong, and our walls. Next he describes the walls of the castle. Our walls were thick, very thick walls they had, and the walls were also so smooth and high. So smooth means they had even surface and without any projection. So the walls were very smooth without any projection, and also the walls were very high. So what does the poet say about the walls, or how does he describe the walls? The walls were thick. They were so smooth. They were also very high. No man could win. So it was very strong, and it is very clear that no man could win. Could win here refers to enter. So nobody, not even any enemy, any powerful force can enter the castle because the gates were strong, the walls were thick, smooth and high. So smooth and high, no man could win a foothold there. Foothold means a position there. So high, so tall, so strong that the enemies could not enter the castle there. They couldn't come inside, and no clever trick. So any trick they display, there is no possibility for them to enter the castle. So whatever risk they take, they could not enter the castle. That is the conclusion. Could it take us dead or quick? So the enemies could not find a position inside the castle. They could not take us dead. That means they could not kill the soldiers or quick. Quick here refers to alive. So they cannot capture them alive also. So they cannot kill them, or they cannot capture them. Even they cannot find any method, any way or any trick to capture the soldiers there. Only a bird could have got in. So the castle was impregnable. They cannot enter the castle. That is sure now from the description given above. And now the poet says, maybe only a bird can enter in. That is, birds, they need not enter through the gates. They can fly over like that and they can enter the castle. So there is a possibility only for birds to enter. That also it may happen. Only a bird may enter. No other enemy could enter the castle. So the strength of the castle is here highlighted. So in this stanza, the poet describes the strength of the castle. That is, what about the gates? The gates of the castle were strong. And what about the walls? The walls were thick, smooth and high. Could anybody enter the castle? No, nobody could enter the castle, or they can set their position there, find a place there. No trick could help them to enter the castle. Their enemies could not capture the soldiers, either dead or alive. Only a bird could have gotten. Oh, there is a possibility for a bird to enter, not otherwise. No, nobody else can enter the castle.
So far, we have completed 3 stanzas. The main idea that is conveyed is the confidence of the soldiers and the strength of the castle. Shall we continue now? 4th stanza. What could they offer us for bait? So, they here refers to the enemies, and us stands for the soldiers. So what could they offer us? What could the enemies give us as a bait? Now what is bait? Bait is something given to entice someone to do something. So let me explain this in detail with an illustration. Now just to look at the picture. An angler is trying to catch fish. Anglers usually have a rod and a line, and in the hook they will place a worm. So the worm will be in the hook, and the rod will be dipped into that water. The fish would come and eat that worm, and it will be caught. Okay. In this way the anglers catch fish. Here the worm is a bait. The worm is used to catch fish. Similarly, what bait can be used to capture us, we soldiers? The meaning is nothing can be used to capture us. So the enemy could not use any bait to capture us. Next, our captain was brave and we were true. Then something is said about the captain. Now, who is the captain? The captain is the commander of the soldiers. So, each company of soldiers will have a captain, and the soldiers depend on him, they trust him, and they cooperate with him. And here their captain was brave. So he was a very courageous person. We were true. So the captain was courageous and the soldiers were true. That is, they were very loyal and sincere. So here it is clearly stated that because of their captain and the soldiers who were very loyal and sincere to their nation, or their patriotic spirit is such that they will never betray their nation to anyone. There was a little private gate. So from here onwards, you would notice that there is a turning point in the narration. Okay, so one of the soldiers is narrating the event. Here you could notice there is a turning point or a change here. There was a little private gate. So there was a small private gate, a small gate near the main gate. So in this picture you could see the main gate is there. Nearby there is a small gate. Okay. So a little wicket gate. So the small gate that is near the main gate is called a wicket gate. Wicket means small gate. And this gate is described as wicket gate. Okay. So it is said to be wicked. That means evil or harmful. So that gate is described as an evil or harmful gate. And a little wicket gate, the wizened warder. So warder is a god, that is a watchman, or he is in charge of this small gate. He is a wizened warder. Wizened means wrinkled. When we become old, the skin gets wrinkled. Okay. Or the old wrinkled warder, he let them through. Let means he allowed. Them stands for the enemies. So this warder, the old warder who was in charge of this wicket gate, allowed the enemies to enter the castle. The enemy could not use a bait for their entry into the castle, but there was a small gate, and the warder who was in charge of that wicked warder, he got bribes from the enemies and he allowed them to enter the castle. We shall now move on to the fifth stanza. Oh, then our maze of tunnel stone grew thin and treacherous as air. A maze is a winding or confusing pathway. Tunnel stone refers to underground passages. Just look at the picture of a maze. You can enter the maze, but you cannot easily find a way out. The castle had confusing pathways and underground passages. One cannot easily enter the castle. Yet now, because of the disloyalty of the warder, the thick castle has become thin and treacherous as air. Treacherous means unreliable and unpredictable. So the enemies had now entered the castle. The cause was lost without a groan, the famous citadel overthrown. Usually in a battlefield, the soldiers and their enemies or the rival soldiers will stand face to face and fight. Some may be killed, some may be injured or even fatally wounded. The groans or the mourning sounds of the soldiers will be heard from the battlefield. Here, no groaning sound was heard, no fight took place. The soldiers had to yield or surrender. The citadel was captured. How did it happen? Who is the person behind this treachery? It is the disloyal warder who was in charge of the small wicket gate. He accepted bribe from the enemies and he allowed the enemies to enter the castle. And all its secret galleries bare. If you go inside the castle, you can find luxurious halls, bedchambers, galleries with collections of paintings, sculptures and other valuable things and treasures. Now have a look at this video. Such a beautiful castle was easily overthrown, the citadel was captured and all the secret galleries were bare. Bare means empty. So all the things were taken away by the enemies. So easily the enemies had entered, they had captured the castle without the last stanza of the poem. How can this shameful tale be told? Tale is a story. Shameful means disgraceful. So the narrator feels shy to tell the shameful story to others. What is that shameful story? Or what is that shameful act that is referred to here? It is the disloyal act of the warder who was in charge of the wicket gate. What did the warder do? He accepted bribe. It can be in the form of money or gold. He accepted the bribe and he allowed the enemies to enter the castle. I will maintain until my death. I here stands for the soldier who is the narrator. The narrator intends not to reveal the secret to anybody. He wants to maintain the secret till his end or till his death. Why did the narrator want to keep it as a secret? Because it is a treacherous act. It is an act of disloyalty by one of the people there in the castle itself, that is the warder. He didn't want to share it with anybody, so he decided to keep it as a secret till his end. We could do nothing being sold. Our only enemy was gold. We had no arms to fight it with. The soldiers now felt helpless. They are in a helpless condition because they had enough weapons to fight a real fight. But here the real enemy now is gold. They did not have any weapon to fight with gold. So in the last stanza, the narrator laments over the disloyalty of the warder. The shameful act cannot be disclosed to anyone. The soldiers are helpless now. The castle is captured in a crooked way, not through a straightforward way, in an indirect way or in a crooked way. The enemies have captured the castle. They cannot accept their treacherous defeat. So the poet mourns the loss of this castle, and in this poem we find that the greediness of the warder has led to the fall of the mighty castle.